It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Stone Brewing Company, and it's a bottle of this Stochasticity project, Master of the Skies, and it's the Imperial Golden Stout, stout brew with cocoa and coffee beans. It's 9.7% ABV. Looking forward to this one. The only other white stout I've had, it was brewed by Durham Brewery, and it was their white stout. It was a great beer. This being an Imperial, well, it's an Imperial Stout. Really, I'm using a Brewdog glass. They're quite close friends. They've done a couple of collaborations, so I'm pretty sure Stone won't mind me using a Brewdog glass. So, beer in the glass, it certainly is golden. Look at that. Look at the way that beer developed in the glass. It's a 2-finger, slightly off-white head. It's got a lovely golden colour to the beer. The clarity, it's a nice clear beer. It's a deep golden amber colour. And there's nice levels of carbonation. So, how did they brew this? Well, we'll have a little look at the label later on. It's classed as a stout. It's kind of trickery. As it says, it's a master of disguise. Let's see if it smells like a stout. I think the master of disguise is it's the aroma and it's the coffee. The coffee and the cocoa are very prominent aromas and tastes in a stout. So by adding that and a lot of it to a golden ale, it's gonna kind of trick your palate into thinking that it's a stout. Very roasted. Lots of roasted kind of coffee in here. Roasted cocoa. And a certain element of hops as well. Let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty intense. There's a lot going on. Lots of coffee, as you would expect. Lots of cocoa bean. An element of kind of chocolate in there. A little bit of kind of white chocolate as well. It's a very kind of, it's a bitterness, but that bitterness is coming from the coffee on the back end. And this is what makes the beer so complicated, is underneath all of that really kind of strong, intense coffee and cocoa, every now and again, every few seconds, it's like a relay. You get this almost odd hop, citrusy flavour come through, but then it gets stamped back down quickly by that coffee and the cocoa. And then it kind of finds its way back to the top of your palate, and it comes out again. And then quickly it gets stamped out again by that coffee and that cocoa. So, I suppose you can call that balance. There's a lot going on between bitterness and bitterness, if you like. The two profiles I'm talking about, the two flavours, are very bitter flavours and profiles. So, technically, it's a fight between bitterness. Let's see if there's any kind of sweetness in the beer. Because you can't, what I like to do when I'm reviewing a complex beer like this, I like to break it down into segments just to explain it. So now I'll concentrate on the sweetness in this beer. So I'm picking up that sweetness. It's very, very early in the beer. It quickly gets washed away by that cocoa and that coffee bean. That bitterness, but straight after that initial bit of sweetness, there's a big hit of hops, and it's a struggle to work out. Well, not really. I suppose it's not a struggle at all. There's going to be an element of that bitterness from the hops, You know that because a hop is bitter in the taste if you just have a pale ale or an IPA. But your mind gets bent a little bit with that coffee and that cocoa. So masters of disguise, I suppose they could have called this a little bit of a mind bender of a beer also if they wanted to. I'm sure nobody, has anybody called a beer mind bender before? Next I want to touch on the drinkability. It doesn't drink like a 9.7% ABV beer at all. It's very refreshing. It's nicely carbonated. You do get a little bit of warming going down into the stomach from the beer. Yeah, it's good. There's vanilla in there. It's confusing though. I suppose I'll read the label in a minute for you. Just to kind of talk to you about this whole white stout. Or what do they call it? A golden stout they're calling it. I suppose, in a way, if you wanted to talk about this beer as a style, a golden style, Stone have coined that. But if you guys wanted to understand, if you see, you've never got a chance to buy this beer, and you want to know what exactly a golden stout tastes like, it's a little bit like, and this sounds strange because they've called it a stout. It's almost like a black IPA with coffee and cocoa added. It's kind of, it's a tricky one, it really is. Anyway, things aren't always what they seem, but not all deception is devious. Some illusions and misdemeanors lead to life's most delightful surprises. Case in point, this beer, the yang to the yin, that is the Black India Pale Ale. Once revolutionary for its appearance, it is now an accepted and beloved member of the India Pale Ale family tree. Okay, so they're talking about black IPAs where they kind of come to fruition. A lot of people in the UK, especially kind of camera members, they didn't understand it. How can a pale ale be black, blah blah blah. But I understood it, I like it, I think it's a great style of beer. So that's kind of now been accepted. So thus we took the spirit of a dark beer, the time-honoured stout, and applied a similar science of thought, brewing it to be golden hued. That's what this experimental series and its latest creation are all about. Cocoa and coffee beans impart roastiness, sans darkness to this brew. Exactly what I'm kind of saying really. It's the cocoa and the coffee that's deceiving you into thinking that it's an Imperial stout. While flaked oats provide an enveloping mouthfeel, the result is a stout that looks more like a blonde but is a raven beauty at heart. It's got nuggets and liberty for the hops, it's got coffee and it's got cocoa, which I've mentioned about 6 times, and it's 2-row pale carapils, amber and flaked oats. Right, now down to business. Would I buy this beer again? I can understand what Stone are doing. They're continuously pushing the boundaries. I'm not sure if their black IPA was the first black IPA in the world. It might have been. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please comment below if you're shouting, no, it wasn't Stone. Who brewed the first black IPA? I believe it's Stone. So they pushed the boundaries there. Are they pushing the boundaries here? 9.7% ABV. An Imperial Stout is always going to be a style of beer that is brewed or bought for a special occasion. I like my Imperial Stout. Would I buy this for a special occasion again? I don't think so, if I'm perfectly honest. I understand what they're doing, they're breaking the boundaries, they're being different, brilliant, love it. Breaks the mould. Would I buy it again? No, quite frankly, no. It's nice, but I suppose you'd have to share this bottle with a friend, family member, wife, husband, whatever. It's a big bottle, and I think if you were to drink that beer yourself, 9.7% ABV, I think the coffee and the cocoa would get a little bit too much. It would just be a little bit too kind of overwhelming and bitter for I'd say the average craft beer drinker. It's a nice beer. I'm glad I've tried another new style. I've tried about 5 different styles this week. It's been a strange old week. But yeah, it's a good beer, but I wouldn't buy it again. Let's rate it. It's still an 8 out of 10. It's still an 8 out of 10 beer. I just wish there was something in there for me to kind of step back and give it the whole Stone the Crows. It's an amazing beer. Maybe give it a 9 or a 10. But it just didn't deliver. It just didn't hit them heights of a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But still, 8 is a great rating for a beer. Stone Brewing Companies. I'm going to say it again. I've done this in about 12 takes, believe it or not. I just couldn't say it. Stone Stochasticity Project Master of Disguise Imperial Golden Stout. And I reckon they brewed this and called it this just for us beer reviewers on YouTube. Just to watch us struggle to pronounce that beer. Thanks for watching. Put your comments in the comments box. Please subscribe to our daily beer reviews, and cheers.